You're listening to Listen More with Paige Krystal Wilcox. This is a podcast where I listen to people from around the world offer their opinions, insights, and reflections on character depictions of characters similar to themselves. Something that I do on this podcast as a sign of respect is to allow each guest to introduce themselves in the way that they see fit. This allows them to take on any labels that they are happy with and also to take back their own story. Without further ado, could you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Thank you, Paige. My name is Gomathi Sankaran. I am a certified public accountant and an MBA from Copenhagen Business School. Certified public accountancy was from the USA. I started my career 17 years ago, I should say, or even more, doing accounting, very simple lifestyle. And then I moved on to learning more about other countries when I had to travel. I'm an Indian by origin, and I started traveling for work purposes to UK, USA, and that's how I started exploring the worlds across and how different it is or similar it is in some ways. I moved on to Denmark in 2012 to do my MBA with Copenhagen Business School. All these experiences of professional life, I had experienced good things and also things that are not so comfortable to deal with. These experiences, I wanted to put it up in a different manner and also use that as my business model to do a business of my own. So that's where the idea of the Guiding Light Art Company came in. The idea is simple: to build diversity and inclusion and change management. So there's a lot of change that's happening around us, and even the changes that you want to have in your life or in the work. These things I wanted to build on, but then I took to some basic tools, art and yoga. So I started building this organization. It was from a creative perspective. So it's still a creative organization, aims to build diversity, inclusion, and change through these medium. I work with children. For them, I'm an art teacher. I want them to explore visualization techniques to be bold enough to say out loud what's causing trouble or what is good in their life, build that confidence and build the idea of exploring different things and nurture diversity and inclusion in them. So that's how I deal with children. Corporates deal with projects and deadlines and so much on strategic point of view. I work with them to get them to understand the emotional quotient and also to give themselves the leeway to let go of certain things, because with change, you would have to let go of certain things. Yeah, that's what I do. And as a part of this, I also started exploring change as a podcast. And that's how I met you, Paige.
I'm very glad that we met each other.
Yes. And I am still going on meeting interesting people across the globe that are change makers in their own way. And I'm so happy that you are doing this podcast. As I was telling you before our recording, I think everybody needs to ask these questions first.
I absolutely agree. And I'm quite excited that my role in this has a lot of listening. I don't need to hear myself talk about all of the things that I already believe about the world. What I really want is to learn from you and to help other people learn from you. Can you tell us a little bit about your personal identity in terms of the types of characters that you feel connected to and that you maybe don't like so much?
There are powerful characters that media represents, whether it is social media or TV or movies and so on. To be honest, I don't see South Indian woman like me represented at all. At least I haven't seen such a thing. It's random, it's so interesting when we have characters played in, let's say, musicals or theater or movies. They also pick up Indian, and Indian women are there. For example, Priyanka Chopra, I think a lot of people know her from the series that she's doing and the movies that she's doing in the USA, and we are so proud of her. Not to demean Priyanka, but India is a huge country and so is the range of differentiation. So we are entirely different in skin color, the way we speak, the way we approach things. So underrepresented is also a overrated word. I would say no, no
No
representation
representation.
at all. Even if so, there are movies. I'm looking at some other characters. We are dealt with like poor people that do not know how to speak, are struggling in life, maybe beggars or so. And that's again wrong. Can we take the example of Sudha Murthy? She is the wife of Mr. Murthy, the founder of Infosys. She is a very simple South Indian woman. She writes books. She is, heading NGOs, and there is so much you can learn about her on the net. But that I would say is somebody that I can connect with. Being a South Indian, my skin color, the way she talks, the way she behaves is something I would easily connect with my mother, grandmother, or the lifestyle that I am from. But if I have to look for more of Sudhamurtis around, I don't know if you can find in media. If somebody does, then maybe please share it with me. I will be happy to see that because I don't know.
This is something that I see as well. I try to watch films from different parts of the world about different people, and I do see that you are not particularly represented.
No, we are not at all represented. So the point of, underrepresentation or misrepresentation, does not even exist, because when I looked at these questions, I was thinking, where am I? Who is it that I should put up here? And then I could think of these two names to tell you. I would say we need more representation of these stronger women of brown color from South India who are well educated and not necessarily poor, are, self-sustainable businesswomen. They know how to thrive internationally, like Sudha Murthy. I want more names, faces to be addressed. We need stories to be built. We need people to write more stories of these strong women that have also contributed to the society.
I personally would love to see a film about a character that has lived your journey, including moving internationally, not just once. There are so many different aspects to your story. I would be excited to know in more detail. I know I get to see those sorts of stories with a very limited range of characters.
Yeah, I look for movies that are very different. I earn to see personalities that are different and are, quite interesting and challenging, but I don't see me in them. The way I said, Sudhamurti is somewhat I could connect with. It's like home to me. Yeah, and these women do exist, and they are really in a large scale existing around the world. People traveling and living in foreign countries and working and doing something on their own. There are so many of us, but it's not told. Stories are very typical. If you want to show a South Indian woman, you will definitely adorn her with a sari and a lot of flower around her hair and so on, and make sure that she speaks floppy, or bad English. So uneducated and so on. So if you are profiling somebody like that all the time or most of the time, we are missing powerful depiction of South Indian woman. Could be interesting.
I'm very hopeful that with some of the things that you've said, that there'll be some writers who will listen to that and take that on board. Do you have some suggestions or ideas for writers to do a better job?
Yes, of course. I do see writers taking up historical stories, and doing a great job. I have seen movies that are depicting history and then the kings and queens. So they are queens in India that have played a stronger role in strategy of their, the kingdom and so on. So I have seen that. So these are people that know how to write powerful characters, isn't it? So it's not that they do not know. So these stories are interesting. Why? Because they have powerful characters. Doesn't matter whether it's a man or a woman, what type of personality it is. It's powerful in some way. You're taking it from history. Take it from today. We are in the process of making history, aren't we? There are so many cases that one can easily find. I don't remember the name of the woman, but I'll tell you a story. She went on to become a founder of an NGO that thrives on identifying children that are being rendered for prostitution, pulling them out and giving them an education. When she was trying to retrieve children from prostitution, she was targeted. Bullets went across, I think, close to her throat or something, but she's alive now. This is a real woman living in Hyderabad.
I would definitely like to see that story
Yeah.
told. It will make people uncomfortable, but
Yes,
discomfort
exactly.
is how you grow and how you learn.
In fact, she said online in social media that it was the prostitutes that gave her money from their pockets and said, there is this room we have, use this as the school. We have a bad life, unfortunately, because somebody sold us here, but we want our children to grow better. You can teach, go teach. We'll give you the money for the space. That's how she got the first space to start her school. These are powerful stories, and it's not, an imaginative story. This is happening. It's history that she is creating, whether it is story of Sudha Murthy or this lady. These are powerful stories of women that have risen above what is expected of a norm from society and have paved their own path.
I watch quite a few Hindi movies, Hindi language movies. I don't know if you know one called Dangal.
Oh, yeah.
I would love to see more films like
More of
that.
them. I agree.
For the audience who's not aware of that story, would you like to tell us a little bit about that story and if it means anything to you?
Yeah, this story is about Geeta and Babita Pogat, who have won Olympic medals for India and played internationally many, many times. That is called Dangal in the local language. The story shows out, firstly, how the man is disappointed to see that his wife is giving birth to a girl child every time they are trying. He wants to win a gold medal and he is a professional and he is thinking of fulfilling his dream through his child, and the child must be a boy child. He ends up having four children. Four turn out to be girl children. And then at one point, he decides gold is a gold. Doesn't matter whether it's a man or a woman that is getting it. I would rather train my girls to be, sportswomen at Dangal and get them on the ground and see what happens. He faces all the challenges. The society really pulls them down, saying it's all nonsense that he's trying to do. And then in 10 years' time, he proves himself right, and the girls do end up becoming Olympic medalists. This is the storyline. And for those that are interested in watching it, I think it's still on Netflix. There is also a story of Mary Kom, again played by Priyanka Chopra. These are sportswomen stories. Again, I like these. I totally appreciate because these are stories that never came up before, but now they have started emerging. So I'm happy for that. I'm looking at it from the point of view that sports could be interesting. You can make it thrilling and gripping for people to be seated for. I think the movie goes on for 2+ hours. It's a long
They
one.
usually do.
Yes, Indian movies do. So to make people sit for 2.5 hours, it's a challenge, and it's easier in a way if you think of strategizing your writing to have some moments of despair and tension through sports. It's a wonderful writing, I would say. uh, mm, that's a very good thing to go for, but I'm also, like I said, I'm missing these storylines that are still untold. Yeah, because they do have their edges too, like the one liner that I just said to you.
Yeah.
It's not that easy to digest. It can be written well, and it can be produced and directed very well to depict what the woman is. And even if you take the story of Sudha Murthy, I think she talks about enough challenges that she has faced online and social media. You can take any episode of her life and make one fantastic, movie out of it. I would easily go for it and write it up. I think, yeah, I'm not a writer, but I admire good writing, so I can see possibilities there.
I would love to have a similar conversation to this in maybe a year or a few years to see what has changed, because I do feel that a lot can change. And I think once people realize it's actually not that difficult
No.
to listen a bit more, listen to the people that you're trying to write about.
Mm.
It's a simple idea.
It is. It is.
Could you think about some final words that you'd like to share? And definitely, I know you have so much more to say, and I'd be happy to have more conversations with you.
Mhm.
We're just trying to keep these ones short and digestible, just while we're trying to help writers do the right thing.
Yes. I would say to the writers, look around, just, beside you, that there will be stories of interesting women in leadership, uh, breaking the glass ceiling and doing a fantastic job. These stories maybe looks on the face dull, but just have a chat with them, find out how they reach there. Then you will figure out that you have enormous amount of stories to write and you don't have the time to write, possibly.
There's so much truth to everything you say, and it's such important work that you do in your own life, and it's important and interesting, and there is no reason that should not be represented in stories, whether it be film or television, and regardless of the language, because there are humans from every country, every landmass, living in every other country or landmass. So there's so much crossover of stories, and I'm very excited to see more of it. And I hope a lot of people listen to you and that you start to see those stories that you really want to see, so that you don't feel unrepresented, you don't feel misrepresented, that you actually feel excited that maybe if you were little and you saw those stories, you would have
Yeah.
known that you could be the amazing person that you are today.
Yeah.
You've been listening to Listen More with Paige Krystal Wilcox. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on this podcast, please head to my website, www.paigekrystalwilcox.com. And don't forget to subscribe and share.